Hello, everybody. This is Skip Alzheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we watch old 16mm films. And again, we're not in our archive today. We are still on the road. This time we're in Niantic, Connecticut, staying with some friends, and beautiful, lush. There's a tree house like over there. Yeah, it's kind of a nice place. They got a pool. But anyways, to get here from Long Island, where we were staying with friends, we had to take 3 ferries, 2 short ones and then one really long one. But that was a lot of fun, and also that is why we're showing some water-themed films. The first 2 aren't water-themed. The first one is Marvels of Motion. The second one is Littlest Puppy Grows Up, which was made by, I believe, Emily Frith, who was a female educational filmmaker who just made things on her own and then, took out ads in the back of educational screen and sold them. Then In the Drink, which is a British information film about pilots ditching their aircraft in water. Then a Coronet film, Adventures in Science, Undersea. And then finally, because we've seen so many ports and docks of ships and cargo. So, a lot to see here. And some of that stuff is ours, but a lot of that this time is from the Prelinger archives. They've been scanning a bunch of films, thousands of films, and we've been helping them kind of get them up on YouTube and Internet Archive and kind of telling the world about them because they're really great stuff, new stuff too. But anyways, if you like what you saw, as always, of course, you can comment. I might be able to see you in the comments. I might be traveling when this airs, but the other thing is you can also support us with thumbs up, with the like, hitting the notification bell, subscribing. You can also use the super chat button. There's a thanks option to float us some cash. You can also go to ko-fi.com/avgeeks or patreon.com/avgeeks. Those are great ways to support us. And that money will go towards storage units because we have 7 and they're teeming with 16mm film at the moment. So anyways, we will be back again tomorrow. It will be a pre-recorded show. And maybe we'll be back in Raleigh on Wednesday. We'll see kind of how the weather and the traffic hold up, but it will be great to see you live this week at some point. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and we will see you soon. Goodbye, everybody.
The horse is said to be an exceedingly graceful animal. The slow camera reveals a natural grace in the animal which the eye seldom sees. Most of us have realized since childhood that the horse is one of the most graceful of all animals. But with the aid of the slow motion camera, we are better able to appreciate the effortless grace of a thoroughbred in motion. Plenty of power here and with a minimum of effort. The true poetry of rhythmic motion. Horses, too, possess a natural instinct for timing and judgment of distance. Note the sure approach and the smooth takeoff displayed by this riderless jumper, and the perfect form as it clears the hurdle. Accidents will happen. Accidents will occur even with champion performers. Here's a fine start. Over 2 hurdles safely, and then, look out, he stumbled. Boy, that was a nasty spill. Luckily, no one's hurt. But they can be made to unhappen. What's this? Try it over. Okay, boss, here we go. I learned this one from Corrigan. And here's another crash. Well, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Comes another try and another stumble. Say, if this keeps up, someone will get hurt. Wouldn't this be a handy gadget for a dude ranch? Just dog. Just plain Pooch looking for a friend. Hey there, Bosco, quit sucking your thumb. You've grown up. You're nothing but a doggy and only pose as such. All of my other friends, alas, disguise themselves too much. But he's wearing a disguise, pretty fancy with your new winter overcoat. So, you want to get out, do you? Attention, forward march, right about face. Step right out, Sergeant, and show those dumb rookies just how it's done. I'm a circus in myself. Yes, sir, even if it is only a one-ring circus, it's a good show. And here's one for the book. Houdini has nothing on me. When it comes to tricks, I'll show those other dogs a few. This is known as the hesitation jump. I can do it faster, too. Hey, wait a minute. I can't stop. What do you think I am, a malted milk? Boy, what a relief. Born to conquer obstacles. This fellow doesn't let anything stop him when he's going places, not even rail fences, which are easily overcome by perfect muscle control. With the easy grace of a trained athlete, he leaps for the top of the fence, poises for an instant, and then drops to the other side. Well, it's all in the day's work. Hey, you forgot yourself. There, that's better. He's all dog again. Even a dog keeps his figure trim. Not only do us movie stars have to watch our diet, this way and that, but we also have to do our daily dozen. I find this stunt very good for my sense of balance. It helps me to keep my poise. Now, who said dogs couldn't climb? A fly's feet. And this Pooch has the feet of a fly. Watch him go straight up that wall. After seeing this, we're ready to believe that cows can fly. If you don't succeed at first, try again. There's nothing like persistence to overcome an obstacle. It just takes that extra little effort to make success. And this is the dog's version of the old swimming hole. Just a bit of plain and fancy dunking. And no bathing suit to bother one. Boy, this is the life. What a splash. And I mean, what a splash. A cold hot dog. High diving is a lot of fun, especially when you don't have to climb back. What a diver. What perfect form. What a perfect belly flop. But then there's nothing like it on a hot day, and a few extra splashes help to cool one off. Who said towels? Only a sissy would use one of those things. This is the way regular fellas dry off. 4 feet making a jump of 18. Nearly 5 times his own length in a perfect leap that shows championship form. This may be the way the dachshund evolved. There's nothing like keeping your feet on the ground till you're safely on the other side. You can always bring the rest along later. It's enough to make a dog laugh. So you've been kidding, phooey. Just cows. Cows are said to be genteel and discreet animals, but here is evidence to the contrary. We never would have believed it till now, but cows can get temperamental too. Oh well, maybe she's worrying about Wall Street and the bull market. And no cow ever did this before. No, sir. Not when I knew the old farm, they didn't. The enchanted screen, all ye who enter here, beware. There doesn't seem to be anything enchanting about this. But wait, Bossy seems to be stretching a bit. Just shows what a cow can do when she really has to. Being a game cow, she'll try anything once. She's a glutton for punishment. Must be trying to create a shortage of milk. Or maybe this is the cow that jumped over the moon. In fact, she'll try several things. And here's a cow demonstrating how to go two places at the same time. That's something many of us would like to learn. And if you're tired of the world and all its troubles, I'm done. Rodeo. Here are a few of the boys and girls in all the colorful trappings of the wild and woolly West. An early morning sprint. This is one to try before breakfast. It's guaranteed to give you a good appetite, providing you don't slip. You can see how easy it is. The horse is doing all the work. Even if the world were upside down, it wouldn't faze this cowboy. To a champion roper like Buff Brady, it makes no difference what position you put him in. He always gets his man and his horse too. Steady nerves and a quick eye are essential if you are going to try this stunt. How many bucks must a bronco buck before he bucks a buster? Now that's a problem that cowpunchers are always arguing with their broncos. This little debate might go on for days and days. And when a horse really starts to buck, accidents will happen. Ranger, the world's champion jumper. When it comes to jumping without a rider, Ranger plays second to none. He clears all obstacles with the grace and ease of a real champion. 7 feet 9 inches from almost a standing position. This is an extraordinary leap for any horse, especially from this almost standing start. But Ranger makes it look ridiculously simple. And here's a jump that most horses would shy away from. It's a thrill just to watch him. Talk about form. Look how neatly the jumper tucks his legs under him, just like a hurdler in action. This is just one of Ranger's little stunts. How Ranger loves to chase himself when he gets mad. Between acts, this one keeps in good spirits. There's nothing like a good canter to keep one's spirits up. But what spirits are these? Shades of Aunt Minnie, I must have stepped on the self-starter. Just a line by Buff Brady. In the West, a man wasn't considered a real cowhand unless he could do a little plain and fancy rope spinning. Is he turning the rope, or is the rope turning him? Buff does everything but make that rope talk. With the aid of the cameraman, he gives you an optical illusion. Yes, sir, when rope spins man, that's news. Throwing the bull. All you have to do is grab the bull by the horns, twist his neck a little, and throw him to the ground. Of course, some bulls get stubborn. They just can't see any sense in being thrown around. Some bull. I'll say, and some man. What is this going to be, a bull throwing contest or a bullfight? It's a lot of bull any way you take it. Little Joe, the smallest giant in captivity, goes burrowing. He's known from the plains of Texas to the mountains of Wyoming as one of the toughest hombres that ever toted a six-shooter. He tames bad men and breaks wild horses. Little Joe is about to saddle Sunfish, a mighty mean outlaw, and ride away into the golden sunset. He didn't plan this one. When it comes to swinging a lariat, Joe is the ropingest guy that ever galloped down the pike. Sure of hand and keen of eye, nerves of steel. When he ropes them, they stay roped. When little Joe gets mad, he doesn't know his own strength. A little rocker. So long now, Joe. All we can say is, little man, you've had a busy day.
Don and Doug Dowell have helped Mother Mac bring up several of her families of puppies. They love dogs and like to play with them, so their home is a nice place for dogs to live. The newest and littlest puppy is Terry, who still can't even walk straight. She was the only one in Mother Mac's last family and likes to stay close to her mother, where she feels safe. Donnie loves his little puppy. When Terry was a tiny puppy, before her eyes were open, she had to find her mother by her sense of smell. She tried and tried to nurse, but Mother Mac had been ill and didn't have enough milk for her baby. Mother Mac felt unhappy because she couldn't nurse her baby, as she has always been a devoted mother. Puppies open their eyes when they are about 10 days old. Donnie thought Terry was the cutest puppy Mother Mac ever had. Aunt Polly knew just how to hold the baby, gently but firmly, with plenty of support for the soft little bones. She was careful not to play hard with a puppy, because it is not good to handle a baby dog very much. Aunt Polly fixed a bottle of warm milk for the puppy. Terry was hungry, but it seemed as if she would never learn to take her milk from a bottle. But Aunt Polly was patient, Mother Mac watched with interest, and finally Terry got the idea. Most puppies take milk from their mothers until they are 6 weeks old. While they are still nursing, they learn to eat other foods. Terry didn't like the sun and wanted to find a cool place to take a rest. So Mother Mac led her to a shady spot under the chair, while Uncle Bobo watched approvingly. With good care and lots of food and rest, Terry began to grow rapidly. Now she is old enough to drink from her own clean dish, but she still has trouble making her legs go in the right direction. She is braver, though, and with her mother nearby, likes to explore the garden. Mrs. Dowell carefully teaches the boys how to hold the puppy. Now, careful, Donnie. You mustn't squeeze the puppy or pick her up around her tummy or by the back of the neck. Doug pats her gently. Now remember, you must support the whole dog and never pull her by her legs. Mrs. Dowell understands that puppies are like children and need lots of affection to grow up with a good disposition. Donnie knows that he mustn't tease the puppy or be rough with her, but it's hard to remember to pick her up the right way. He is so anxious to play with her that he forgets that puppies must be handled carefully. To teach the puppy to go on the leash, Mrs. Dowell first puts one on Mother Mac, so that Terry can see that her mother is not afraid. And then it's Terry's turn. Just imagine being pulled by your neck. Terry doesn't like it. But Doug is gentle and encourages Terry to take a few steps. Such a strange thing around her neck frightens her, and she runs to her mother. So the boys give her a rest. They know that it takes time for a puppy to learn new things. There is so much to understand. Dogs naturally like people and want to please them, and are often called a man's best friend. Come on, Terry. Try it once more. That's a doggy. But Terry is pretty tired. Well, that's enough for the first lesson. Donnie gets the puppy a drink of cool water Doug thinks she is hungry, too. And so Donnie brings her some baby food mixed with milk. She is still such a little baby that she eats 4 times a day. Mother Mac likes her doghouse, and Mrs. Dowell asks the boys to do a little house cleaning. They start by removing Uncle Bobo and the little puppy. Then they sweep and clean, inside and out. It is important for a dog to have a warm, dry place to sleep in cold weather, and a nice cool place in summer. This house of Mother Mac's is exactly right. Mrs. Dowell is pleased that the boys, as well as the puppy, are learning that it's fun when you work together. It is pleasant for a dog to go into a nice, clean house. When Terry is 3 months old, the nurse from the dog hospital comes to give her a shot. The boys are afraid that it will hurt Terry, but the nurse explains that most people who raise dogs think it is wise to give a distemper shot. There, it's over in a second, and will prevent the puppy from getting sick. Terry doesn't mind at all. She likes the attention. The nurse gives Doug a card to show that Terry has had her first shot. And in 2 shakes, Terry is as lively as ever. The littlest puppy is not so little anymore. She is big enough to hold her own with Mother Mac and Uncle Bobo. Dogs need plenty of exercise, and it is important for Terry to learn to fight so that she can protect herself and her family. She may have to be a watchdog someday. Terry is hot and knows where she can get a drink. Ah, what nice, cool water, right out of the faucet. Hey, it's fun, too. At this age, a puppy chews everything within reach, even her own dish. She knows that it's dinner time, so Doug takes the hint and fills her dish. And she has a good appetite, a sign of a healthy dog. Donnie's pet turtle, Tommy, has taken first prize at school in a contest for the most unusual pet. The dogs, too, think that Tommy is unusual. Doug teaches them not to tease Tommy. The turtle keeps his house with him and can curl up inside if the dogs bother him too much. His shell is a big protection. Tommy may live a long time because turtles sometimes live to be 200 years old. Tommy moves slowly, but he takes very good care of himself. Now that Terry is older and the weather is warm, Mrs. Dowell says it is all right for the boys to give Terry her first bath. The water is just right, not too warm and not too cold. The boys are careful not to frighten the puppy because they want her to like her bath. They are careful to keep the soap out of her eyes. Dogs should not be bathed too often, but they should be kept clean and healthy with daily brushing. Mother brings a special shampoo and shows the boys just how to rub the little dog. She is glad that Doug and Donnie try so hard to take good care of their puppy. Finally, a good rinsing and a thorough drying so that Terry won't catch cold. Doug and Donnie have had lots of fun watching Terry grow up to be a happy, intelligent dog. And this littlest puppy has had fun learning good manners and how to get along with the boys. Wouldn't you like the littlest puppy for your very own?
Above the sea flies a British bomber homeward bound. Its night's work done, its target in Germany bombed. They have come through the flak of the fighters, but you can't ever be sure that you've got through without any... There is trouble on board. Something is wrong. The skipper checks quickly with the engineer. The engineer reports that last burst of flak has hit 2 of our gas tanks in the sea. That's all they can do. The navigator works out where they'll be when they're forced down, landing position, so that the rescue services will know where to look for them.
Hello, all you chaps. Dinghy, dinghy. Prepare for ditching.
Prepare for ditching. You know what that means? It means they must put their plane, a land plane, down on the sea. It will sink, and they'll be left with this. This, believe it or not, is a boat. A rubber dinghy with a bottle of gas that can inflate it in 10 seconds. It sounds a pretty desperate craft in which to sail the sea, but these floating air cushions of the Royal Air Force are wonderful little craft. Scientific design, superb workmanship in British factories, and excellent compact equipment into this little bundle, a lifeboat that has saved great numbers of lives. Let's have a look at this pocket battleship. The ship, the dinghy, has her rope ladders. If the crew drop in the drink, they can pull themselves out by these. This rubber is hardly armor plate, and the dinghy may be holed by enemy fire. That's true. The dinghy carries its own supply of spurs, shaped to fit any size bullet hole. Gas is always liable to escape, and the dinghy gradually gets deflated. To pump it up again, the crew use these topping up bellows. Slower than high-pressure gas, but just as effective. A sailor will tell you the view of a sea anchor. That's standard equipment on the dinghy, too. It's simply a bag that creates a drag, checking the dinghy's drift, making it easier for rescue planes to find. A dinghy cruise in bad weather is no picnic, so the crew have this waterproof shelter. That's it, boys. Button yourselves in. This also keeps water from washing aboard. When a bomber crew lands in the sea, there's no certainty they'll all be able to step from the plane to the dinghy. So here are lifelines. And when a bomber comes down, it's sometimes a good idea to get away from it as soon as possible. So the dinghy has paddles. Not a bit like any paddles you know, but quite useful. There's that first necessity of a sailor, a knife. And this, too, is specially designed for the dinghy. The blade is punctured for lightness. The cutting edge is curved to make it less likely to damage the dinghy. The cord guards against loss, but it's long enough to let anyone aboard use the knife. And if it should fall overboard, the handle is cork, so it floats. Along with the dinghy go 3 emergency packs. Just 3 more neat little bundles from Britain. But they, like the dinghy itself, save lives. The first pack contains food and drink, canned tomato juice complete with opener, drinking water is canned and opened in the same way. Drinking cups are marked so that rations can be divided fairly. The emergency food is scientifically planned to give the most sustenance in the smallest space. There are biscuits, malted milk tablets, and tablets for purifying impure water if the can supply runs out. So the second pack is full of devices to attract attention. Marine distress signals with special covers to keep them dry. That's just one more reason for saving rubber. A shield to protect the hands goes with the flares. Vary cartridges, signals in battle, and signals at sea. Each dinghy carries a supply with a Vary pistol to fire them. This little bundle is a substance called fluorescein. It is trailed on the sea and makes a vivid green stream which can be seen from the air 8 miles away. And there's also a balloon with its own special gadget to inflate it. The balloon serves to attract attention, but its main job is to support the aerial of the portable radio. Oh yes, there's a radio. And this little ship even has a telescopic mast on which a flag can be hoisted. Everything to attract attention and save lives. What's this? Equipment for fancy dress balls while adrift? No, just a colored cap for each man to wear to help attract attention. One of the things you'd miss most if you had to go without it is a match. Here are matches that stay alight in a storm. The third emergency pack is the ship's medicine chest, a well-planned first aid kit. And just to make sure that no chance of calling for help is missed, the bottom of the box is a heliograph. All that, and it that may save the crew of a bomber.
Let's go back to the bomber we started with and see what happens as they come down in the drink.
Hello, wireless operator. Get back to your ditching station, quick.
Okay, Skipper. Wireless operator ditching.
Hello, second pilot. Can you hear me okay?
Okay, Skipper. Let us down gently.
Here it comes, chaps. Hold everything. Get hold of that copy off top. Come on, get cracking. Hold in. Coming up. Engineer here. Yeah. Air gunner here. Yes. Second pilot here. Yes. Wireless operator. Yes. Front gunner. Yes. Navigator. Yes. Off engineer.
Search plane. Go into the area named in the last SOS message to scan the sea. In the incessant raids of the bomber command, some of the crews must ditch, and they may drift for hours or days. Their lives depend on the speed and skill of the searchers. The plane drops a smoke float to guide the launch to the spot. This crew is lucky. Their rescue came soon, but the swiftest rescue would have been too late if it hadn't been
We call it Earth, but a better name might be water. After all, 3/5 of its surface is really water, and it's deep water too. Push the highest mountain in the world, Mount Everest, beneath the deepest part of the sea, and fish can still swim unruffled over it. The peak is 8,000 meters from the ocean bed, but it's still 3,000 meters from the surface. For centuries, we've wondered what it's like down there. The unexplored waters have challenged and frightened our fertile imaginations ever since we can remember. But for most of that history, the only way to go underwater is in our imaginations. One early 17th century dreamer suggests this kind of a ship to get around underwater. Off the stern is a nice practical net for deep sea fishing. Off the bow is a sportier fish catcher. Our dreamer firmly insists that there must be freshwater springs on the floor of the sea. These conveniently provide plenty of drinking water for the crew and their families. It's an old dream, to return to the beginnings of all life, to retire beneath the waters, undisturbed by the madness above. But there's another dream too, a more practical dream. A certain Mr. Van Drebbel promises that his submarine will be able to sink 100 ships a day. Fortunately, however, his leather-covered rowboat doesn't make a very good submarine, and he can only sink ships on paper. But within about 100 years, we're getting more successful. This egg is, in fact, an early submarine. Its inventor, the American David Bushnell, uses hand-operated propellers to move it forward and upward. This is the rudder, and this is the screw. And here's the mine. This is the chamber for water ballast. All submarines are based on the same principle. Well, it's the time of the American Revolution, and Mr. Bushnell is moved to do his part. One dark night, he undertakes the first submarine attack against the hated British ships. In his historic excitement, though, he goes out with the tide, far past his mark. With typical forefather resolve, he returns to battle, and in no time is under the despised British flagship, where he attacks with a large screw. The hull, however, is covered with copper plates. 25 years later, we're still trying. Robert Fulton's submarine is already spindle-shaped, but still uses a muscle-powered propeller. It can remain underwater for 4 hours before it surfaces to become a sailboat. Finally, Fulton loses interest in the underwater and uses his head for moving boats on the surface. The years go by, and other brightheads are still fascinated by the idea of submarines. This one belongs to a Mr. Bauer. His submarine is also driven by muscle power. To be exact, by 2 assistants. One day, at a depth of about 18 meters, water starts pouring in. The clever Mr. Bauer saves the day by doing nothing. He just waits till the air pressure equals the water pressure. Then he opens the hatch and shoots up in a giant air bubble. He's much luckier than Ladner Phillip, the daring shoemaker, who quits his business to descend into Lake Erie, but, like scores before him, doesn't come back up. Until now, all the inventors have relied on muscle power to move their submarines. But by the 1860s, steam engines appear on submarines. Electric motors, even compressed air motors, which the Frenchmen Bourgeois and Brune install on their surprisingly modern-looking vessel. Unfortunately, stability is a problem. By the end of the 60s, the world is introduced to the first submarine to overcome all the problems with ease. Unfortunately, the giant Nautilus exists only in the mind of the French writer, Jules Verne. But what an imagination! With a huge electromotor, the submarine is a self-sufficient world with every convenience. It's the old dream of living in the sea. The second half of the 19th century is full of dreamers and inventors of all kinds of things. We're beginning to explore the sky. Surely we can explore the sea. All that's needed is a first-rate inventor. If we can make workable airships, we ought to be able to make reliable submarines. The idea of a workable submarine catches the world's fancy. It seems that everyone has an idea. The results of their submarine efforts are imaginative. A Frenchman, Monsieur Goubet, comes up with the first family sub. He floods the magazines and newspapers with ads about the benefits of his brand of submarine.
Be the first in your town to have your own leisure sub. While away the hours in a water paradise. Invite your friends aboard. There's always plenty of room. Yes, friends, hour after hour of underwater pleasure. And what better place to enjoy truly gourmet cooking? And in the evening, thrill to the cozy crew quarters, where everything you need is just an arm's length away. And Cafe au Sardine? Why not? Just because you're at sea doesn't mean you can't enjoy the finer things in life. So come on in. You always have a friend at Goubet's Grand Marine Undersea Emporium.
Oddly enough, Mr. Goubet's invention doesn't catch on with the public. Despite the efforts of amateur inventors, we do continue to make progress, and by the beginning of the 20th century, we have several practical submarines. At last, we can begin to enjoy the underwater world. But more important things first. Many governments see more immediate, practical uses for the sub. A number of designs emerge, all of them having one thing in common: the torpedo. For the next 30 years, most of the advances in the design of submarines are used for warfare. In spite of the wars, the dream of underwater exploration is not forgotten. The old designs are still remembered. A quiet observatory hanging from a boat on the surface. Work continues in exploring under the water. A deep-water submarine, a bathysphere, is invented. A sturdy steel ball strong enough to withstand immense pressures with room enough for just one man. Its inventor, the Italian Del Pozzo. Down he plunges, deeper and deeper, into a world no one before him has ever seen. In the inky, hostile blackness, he sees life. Bizarre, self-illuminated fish thriving under water pressures that would kill any other living thing. Nevertheless, deep-water exploration remains fraught with danger, for every bathysphere must hang from one thin lifeline. Deep-sea studies have to look for new possibilities. The year 1931, the place up in the air. A balloon with a steel chamber, hermetically sealed, rises to a height of 13 kilometers. Although the Swiss physicist Auguste Piccard just manages to break the record for height, he is already considering trying for the record for depth. The vessel he invents is called a bathyscaphe, and it really is very much like his air vessel. In both cases, the crew sits in an airtight steel chamber, and in both cases, ascent and descent are regulated by ballast. In 1953, Piccard reaches a record depth of over 3,000 meters. A few years later, he breaks his own record. Piccard dies in 1962, but his son continues his research. After careful preparation, the young Piccard decides to take a dangerous step. He aims to reach the bottom of the Mariana Trench, more than 10,000 meters beneath the sea. It's a kind of reverse Mount Everest. He successfully descends into a world of eternal darkness. And yet, even here at the bottom of the sea, he finds life. Today, in the last quarter of the 20th century, we have begun the conquest of the heavens and of the seas. Soon we may not only colonize outer space, but inner space as well. Already we have nuclear submarines, which can stay underwater for months at a time. We have begun deep-sea mining, and we are experimenting with ocean farming. Someday soon we'll have self-sufficient cities under the sea. Who knows? Perhaps your grandchildren will live there.
Hello, I'm Terry Shrunk, Mayor of Portland, Oregon. I want to warmly welcome you to our magnificent harbor, truly the seaport of the Pacific coast. As you will see in this film, progress is our keynote. Under the administration of the Commission of Public Docks, we have the most modern harbor handling facilities in the world. Serve our booming. We're the gateway to the world markets for the vast inland empire served by the Columbia and the Willamette rivers. Here, the combination of all forms of transportation makes it possible for us to offer our shippers the lowest freight rates possible, and follows that we are the natural distribution center for the entire Northwest. Because of our growing maritime commerce, the city of Portland is driving ahead, building and expanding on all fronts. We most cordially invite you to bring your industry to Portland for low-cost transportation, for good industrial sites, and for a very wonderful place in which to live.
Hello there. I'm Ernest Baker. I've been working on the waterfront for more than 33 years. Like the mayor, those of us who are working on the waterfront want to see more cargoes. It means more jobs, more payroll. Also, it means more jobs and more payrolls uptown. Shipping is like that. It has a direct effect on everybody and his pocketbook. You can't always put your finger on the exact results. We're in a good spot here in Portland, and we have good relations with management. And more than that, we longshoremen are proud of our cargo handling abilities. We're also proud of our city. We're proud of the part that the Dock Commission has played in building up this port. We'd like to prove our abilities and service to you.
vigorously alive, Portland explodes with approaching greatness. Her trade and initiatives swell the crescendo of progress. She is now a major world seaport, and her bursting growth builds upward to the stature of a metropolitan giant. And this, too, is Portland, a city noted for its churches. A city of homes where the strength of the family becomes even stronger in the common bond of growing, building together. Where the abundance of year-round recreational opportunities are relatively but minutes away. From the thrills of skiing in the nearby Cascades, to the digging of clams in the coastal sands, from the quiet of a steelhead stream, to the excitement of a water flight or a jeweled lake. Rightfully to the world, Portland is known as the City of Roses. And her parks gaily color each neighborhood. Her residents, however, will also quickly tell you that Portland should be known as the city of education and culture. Proudly, they will point to their modern grade in high schools, to the several renowned colleges and universities. Music lovers of the Northwest converge on the auditorium. And the students of art and culture feast in the numerous museums. In the heart of this expansive nest of homes, the towers of to rival the snow caps of St. Helens and Hood. While along the river, the harbor throbs with trade that has a direct economic effect on every job, every home in Portland. Located at the confluence of the Willamette and Columbia rivers, Portland is the major distribution center of the Northwest. Served by 4 transcontinental railroads, as well as a network of limited access highways, this major seaport has unexcelled connections to all parts of the country. Such transportation facilities make Portland an advantageous seaport and distribution center. For the shipper, they mean economy and efficiency. The great rivers give Portland unique advantages. Barge navigation extends 240 miles up the Columbia into the heart of the Inland Empire to the rich agricultural and industrial areas of Oregon and Washington. Soon they will extend up the Snake River into Idaho. Millions of bushels of grain hauled downriver each year. The barge lines give Portland the added advantage of low-cost water freight rates. Upstream, the barges haul petroleum products, chemicals, asphalt, and other essential bulk commodities. Unlike many other ports which draw cargoes from a limited countryside, the Commission of Public Docks extends its traffic sales activities seeking both import and export cargoes into the Midwest, south into Colorado, and Northern California, and on to the East Coast. Portland's freight rates are competitive, and we ship and receive cargoes from Japan, Australia, Scandinavia, South America, the Mediterranean. Portland's cargo handling know-how, her efficient transshipment methods, and quick ship turnarounds constantly pay off in the savings of time and money to both shippers and steamship operators. Welcoming more than 1,600 ships a year from all over the world, Portland today plans and builds for an ever-increasing foreign trade, a trade that will create new jobs, bring new industries, new peoples into the metropolitan area. Designed and engineered primarily to handle bulk dry cargoes, Terminal 4 has the largest tidewater grain elevators west of the Mississippi. Here, huge nozzles actually vacuum the incoming grain from the hold of a barge. In another section, a highly efficient machine clamps a grain-filled freight car, shakes it like a terrier does a rat, dumping the contents on a storage-bound conveyor belt. Near ponderous, grain-filled highway giants are manhandled as though they were toys, their cargoes helping to fill the elevator's capacity of 8 million bushels. With equal efficiency and even more speed, ships are loaded from the new gallery, which can deliver up to 1,500 tons an hour. At another berth of this giant terminal, 2 large gantry cranes efficiently and rapidly handle bulky, ponderous scrap and other commodities destined for export. At still another of Terminal 4's facilities, sulfur and other export bulk cargoes such as coal and coke can be loaded on large barges for transshipment to nearby plants or to ships for export. At Pier 4, the mammoth bulk unloader dwarfs even its 1,220-foot deep-water dock. The only such facility on the Pacific coast, the bulk unloader digs in to hold cargoes with 13-ton bites, speedily discharging the imported ores and chemicals. With predetermined exactness, loads proceed directly to rail gondola cars or trucks. Highly efficient, the bulk unloader is a major harbor tool designed to reduce handling costs and ship time. In yet another aspect, Portland excels in modern dry dock facilities, which are the heart of the ship repair industry, worth $17 million annually. Along the 19 deepwater berths of the Commission of Public Docks, worldwide cargoes and ships meet. Timber produce of Oregon swing into one hold, while the manufacture of West Germany is discharged from another. Pakistan-bound plywood crosses the inbound path of foreign toys. Oregon-produced aluminum bars exchange holds with East Coast steel. Powdered milk from our dairy lands replaces imported chemicals. Oregon newsprint speeds from truck to shipside and then into holds. Meanwhile, imported sugar rolls into Hungary trailer vans. The busy whir of the lift trucks mingle with the incessant clatter of deck winches as the fruits of our orchards speed to the markets of the world. Careful attention, even to the temperature of a pear, pays off when the cargo is ultimately delivered thousands of miles away in perfect condition. In the large fire-protected warehouses, more lift trucks hustle over the open floor areas, speeding cargo handling to ships or to adjacent trucking platforms and railroad access. The rumble of progress deepens as trains haul laden cars from shipside. It broadens as the trade of the seaport infuses the commercial lives of the metropolis, creating the thunder of progress in every vein of business, of living. This, too, is Portland, a metropolis born of a seaport, exploding with its trade. Construction, as well as transportation, are the unfailing barometers of increasing sound business conditions. They are the visible signatures of confidence in the future. Known popularly as the Glass Palace, The new Memorial Coliseum has become a crowded mecca of national conventions, as well as the center of major sports events and entertainment spectacles. And hardly a stone's throw away, the Lloyd Center, America's largest shopping center, generates the growth of new metropolitan communities. Everywhere, construction men are at work as Portland undeniably surges forward into the future, planning for the growth of that great future with the confidence of a boy building a kennel for his pup.
If you were to ask me, and I'm what you'd call an average citizen, the billion-dollar-a-month trade headline is all very well, and undoubtedly is a tremendous plus mark toward our goal of a better way of life, work, and play. But I'd like to see some headlines on the plus marks that I believe are of even more importance. Our rain, which we have occasionally, is really our greatest resource. Because of this rain, our forest lands reach far over the horizons. Our waters bear harvests that feed a hemisphere. Our dairy lands are world famous for their verdant fertility. Our multipurpose dams provide hydroelectric power, navigation, irrigation, and flood control. And then I'd like to see headlines of the outsiders who have confidence in our future, so much so that they invest many millions. They could tell you of our large, skilled labor pool, of our excellent available space for industrial, agricultural, educational, and residential growth, of our favorable tax climate. Yes, we do have many plus marks in Portland. Very many, if you were to ask me.